There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
No power in the verse can stop me.
What's going on, guys? My name is Aldeniro, and welcome to episode... Fucking hell.
You didn't check, did you?
No, it's not that I didn't check, it's that I know what one it is. It's the one after 52.
So 54?
No, the one before 54.
Sorry, you're going to have to refresh my memory.
It's episode 53, innit?
53 in it, fam.
53 World Wars.
53.
Yes, it is episode 53, and I'm joined by Jack.
As you may have guessed by this point, yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't know that by now, and it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
But we've been on a roll lately. We've been, banging out these fortnightly episodes.
A roll of, what is it, 2?
Three, I think.
Is it 3?
Yeah, because the Christmas one, the New Year one, the
last one that we did. So it's a roll of 3.
Yeah, fortnightly episodes. This will be the 4th. We are absolutely killing it. But I genuinely think that the quality of the shows has increased dramatically. I think the last one that we did, the Colts one, was so good, and it was up exclusively on SoundCloud and not YouTube, which sort of led to a drop in the number of viewers or listeners, which I kind of expected would happen because people just don't like clicking links or whatever. This one should be on YouTube. I don't know if it is or not. It depends on how busy I will be. But please do continue to subscribe on SoundCloud, and please do continue to like it over there. I think it's the most natural and logical course for this show to take. Like, it's so much easier.
It's downloadable that way as well.
Exactly, yeah. I think you have to be on a PC to download it, as far as I know. I tried to see if it was possible on a phone, but I just couldn't seem to find the button. I actually find the SoundCloud app to be very strangely
laid out.
Yeah, on phone apps. It's great on computers, but it's weird for phones. It's like it's not properly set up for phones. But anyway, no matter what platform you're on, how about leaving the episode a like? Because we really need your... I just sat up in my seat with my arms outstretched. You can't see me. But yeah, if you want to just just support for the show, it would be much appreciated. Cause,
yes, it would be.
Yeah, we do such a great job, and we're just great guys.
Yeah, top blokes.
Yeah. So
just top blokes, really, isn't it?
Today's episode is about how childhood can influence your adulthood, specifically how your childhood experiences and memories and fears and things like that shape certain aspects of your adult life. I'm looking at some statistics at the moment that say 4 out of 10 Americans report that they have had one or more childhood experiences they believe had a harmful effect on their health as an adult. It's 39% is the actual percentage given, and I find that to be a really large number. Believe had a harmful effect on their health as an adult. I'm sure there is something that I would put into that category, but I can't think of it right now. It's a strange one, but some obvious things about studies that have been done. It was really hard to research this topic because all the studies are geared towards one specific finding. Like, they're wondering if childhood experiences can affect one certain aspect of adulthood, where I was looking for a more broad sort of spectrum to quote from. So what we were saying earlier was that a lot of this episode will be sort of anecdotes and unsighted, unsourced guesses.
A lot of armchair psychology going on.
But that's also every episode of the Midnight Hour.
Yeah,
so.
you've just really summed up every episode that we do. We open about 15 tabs.
Yeah.
And then if anything mildly relevant, kind of regurgitate something that we found earlier.
And the things we're truly passionate about are always articles that we can never remember reading.
But I remember this one article, I'm sure it was a thing.
Yeah. We found one study came up with kind of what you would expect to be an obvious thing, but it basically said that the type of emotional support that a child receives during the first 3.5 years has an effect on education, social life, and romantic relationships 20 to 30 years later, which you might not be surprised by, but if you think about it, the first 3.5 years, what do you even remember from your first 3.5 years? You know?
Nothing. But, I suppose it's not necessarily something that you remember, but it's something that forms your, that's, when your whole psychology as a person is, I suppose, initially being formed and developed.
Yeah, that's
and
the
it's
thing.
not necessarily, long-term memories that are being put there, or built upon. That's the foundation for your attitude and your personality, I suppose.
Yeah, one of the things I managed to find out while I was researching this was how memory is formed and how memory actually works. And basically, they did a test with kids in primary school, in the very first stages of primary school. And they subjected kids to like standard childhood experiences and then asked them about it. And these kids couldn't explain it because they didn't have the vocabulary built to articulate certain experiences that they had. So they were then taught the words that they needed to actually explain the experiences. And when they learned the words to describe the experiences, they still had difficulty articulating what they meant, which I find to be super interesting because it shows that language and memory are actually really, really strongly linked. So you actually have huge difficulty building memories, like if you're not as literate as like the average person. It makes it harder for you to do it. The first 2 years of life are sort of where you start forming your sense of self. In the very, very early stages, like it's actually not true to say that the brain hasn't developed yet to learn how to memorize stuff and everything. It's that you have no sense of what the world is at all.
No, yeah.
The peekaboo game that you play with kids when you when you do that and when you cover your face, you literally stop existing to that kid. Like it's genuinely true. You disappear from their world and you don't exist anymore. And I find that really interesting. I really like the correlation between language and memory because they're sort of similar in a way anyway. Like the way you actually learn a language is a lot how you like learn to remember stuff. And there's always been, like, everyone is aware that if you write something down you're more likely to remember it and things of that nature. Speaking of memory, I was actually like on a bus the other day thinking, as I always am when I'm on a bus. I was travelling recently.
Nothing else to do on a bus. What, are you going to talk to people?
Listen to music? Absolutely not. But I was thinking about how bizarre and kind of just outrageous it is that you can remember things like smells and feelings and stuff. Like, that's really, really weird to me.
Yeah, things that don't have like a kind of like a tactile touch to them. They're not like a physical
and
thing, I suppose.
They're not a thing that you can sort of define with words either.
No,
just really difficult things. Like you can even recall tastes and even like emotions. If you think about certain situations and can recall that anger and stuff, it's very strange. I think that we have a brain so powerful that we can actually tap into things like that. And that's I don't even know why I brought that up. I was just thinking about it the other day, and it really just blew my mind. I was just sitting there like thinking, like, fucking hell, isn't that just bizarre? Like, I can just mint and chocolate chip ice cream. I can recall exactly what that tastes like.
I know exactly what it tastes like. I can.
Yeah, that's really weird. But we have been sort of thinking about how to approach this topic, and I think one of the best things to do is to read an article and tear it apart piece by piece. But no, I found this article. Well, it's more of a listicle, and it seems like a kind of a almost like if someone linked me this, I would think it was a piece of garbage journalism. It's from Business Insider.
Why Business Insider UK is chatting about psychology and child psychology is kind of beyond me.
Yeah.
But, each to their own.
Yeah. At least this information is in some way sourced, so I mean that gives it some form of credibility in my eyes. The first point on it is, if your parents didn't let you make decisions, you might be codependent as an adult. I kind of like what it says is, if you had a helicopter parent who didn't allow you to dress yourself or choose your own playmates and food, you may end up as a codependent adult. I guess that makes sense, but
yeah, I've had a quick read through this whole thing, and a lot of it is like, well, if you were taught that 1 + 1 = 2, as an adult you'll believe that 1 + 1 = 2, and it's like, well, yeah,
exactly.
I'm saying this straight off the bat because you will find a trend of, if your parents did everything for you when you were a child, you'll rely on someone to do everything for you as an adult.
That's exactly.
It's like, well, yes.
Like,
no shit. Thanks, Sherlock.
That's the life goal for a lot of people who are in that situation. I mean, it doesn't mean stop dressing your kids and stuff like that. Like, you have to do that up to a certain point, but then you have to realize that they need to be independent. I can't really recall. I think I'm very, very fortunate in that, like, I don't think there was ever a point where my mum could tell me what to wear. Like, I used to just... That's one thing that I've always felt incredibly strongly about, to the point where it actually, like, it works against me in a lot of ways as an adult. Like, and this is something that genuinely, I can't accept the fact that we live in a world where you're judged by what you wear. And I don't even mean in the sense that, like, if a guy wears a pink t-shirt, he's seen as a homosexual or things like that. Like, that's all bullshit, and I can see past that, and I'll wear what I want in that aspect and let people make their own assumptions, and I don't care. But I fucking hate that we live in a society where, in order to work in an office, you have to dress in really uncomfortable clothes.
A suit and a tie.
Yeah, what is that? What even is a tie? A tie is a thing that pisses me off so much, and I have tried so hard to, like, assimilate into adulthood and become an adult. But, like, a tie is a thing that was invented to cover the buttons on a shirt. Like, just that alone makes me so angry. Why don't you just make shirts without buttons if that's the fucking case? Like,
I feel like I have heard this before, like, someone has said this before, and I have the feeling it's you. It was either me or you that said this, I think, that a tie is just a very convenient form of suicide for when you get bored with the mundanity of life.
I think that's a Twitter discussion we had once.
Because that has surfaced in my memory.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And that sounds eerily similar.
I think I had it.
So that one of us might have said.
I actually can recall back in June. It was the day before I started my work. The job that I'm in now. It was June 18th. I actually remember this quite vividly because I was at my girlfriend's house and I was so fucking nervous about this job. Like, I think over the last year I have completely transitioned into an entirely new human being. Like, I'm so much more confident, so less awkward and stuff. But the final sort of stage of that transition was
realising you had to wear a tie.
June 18th, and just realising that this was something that I had to do. And I can remember just feeling so awkward and out of place, and so, like, having to wear shoes, like actual shoes, like not trainers. Like, that freaks me out. I don't like it. It's not comfortable. They have no grip on them. They're not... For any reason, I can't find a single reason for them being practical. Like, I just don't understand, and I never will understand, and I know I just have to accept it and stuff. But I actually do think a large part of that comes from the fact that I was allowed to wear whatever I wanted as a kid. I remember once going to a wedding in jeans and a hoodie, and I was the best man. But
I bet the bride loved you.
things like that really, really annoy me. But I do remember that June 18th day, I was so nervous and just like absolutely panicking in a way that I don't feel like I'll ever be that nervous again in my life, because I feel like I've achieved the confidence.
gotten over the hump of
but
that
still,
kind of thing. Yeah,
shirt, tie, slacks, shoes. I think
Yeah.
those are all things that are archaic, and I just think they are the result of this outrageous sort of old white man traditional attire.
Yeah, I think it's just an extension of kind of, school uniforms and having everyone conform to this certain look so that no one wants to step out of line and do something kind of,
Do you think that's
out
what it
there.
is?
I don't know, because I have the feeling, and, I've seen a lot of things that kind of, the kids are all meant to look exactly the same, when you put them in a school uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's meant to kind of remove this idea that there's people will claim that it helps remove the idea that there's kind of class systems and kids will get treated differently by their peers and by the teachers based on the wealth of their parents.
Yeah. I agree.
So it would make sense, I suppose, in my professional opinion.
I think it's actually not that. I think the school uniform thing is, like you said, it's to introduce uniformity. It's to create a system where everyone's the same. I think it's definitely. I think the reason school uniforms are maintained are to avoid classism. Because you'll have one guy in Nike Air Max and another kid in like little,
Sports Direct,
and they'll get like bullied for that because that's kids.
Kids are dicks.
Yeah, and that'll happen. But I think the work clothes thing is actually a result of classism, and I think it's to say if you want to work for, because most like sort of capitalist corporations that people would want to work for nowadays sort of do have a very old white man archaic worldview about certain things, and these are the people that you have to impress, so these are the people that you have to dress like in order to get that promotion and stuff. And I think it's actually really interesting to see the difference in multinational corporations that are being run by entrepreneurs and those types of ideologies creeping into the corporate world, in that like Facebook and Google and stuff, they don't have that kind of uniform at all.
No.
And they don't have any uniformity. And I think it is the case, and I would go out on a limb and say this, having done no research on it whatsoever, that most companies where you have to wear a shirt and tie are run by either a director or a series of directors who are old white males.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing.
Yeah, I think there's also kind of this, there's also the fact that a lot of, like especially tech kind of startups and tech companies and stuff like that, you mentioned like Facebook, and everyone kind of knows that Google is all very relaxed and can be very happy clappy with how they dress and stuff like that. And that's kind of, one of the tropes of, especially in films of, and TV, of like a tech startup or a tech company, is that everyone's walking around in cargo shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
Kicking fucking beanbags at each other and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of because there's no kind of face-to-face meetings where you kind of have to assert your power, as it were.
Yes.
Wearing, say you go into an insurance broker and you're meeting with a client and you want them to take you seriously as someone that can handle their money and like £1 million worth, an account that's worth millions of pounds. No one's going to take the dude in cargo shorts and flip-flops seriously.
That's the thing, and that's the thing I have a serious issue with, and have had a serious issue with all my life. And I think, I really, really, really despise that. I don't come from lower class or anything. I would say, I'm kind of very much working class, and I just really fucking despise any sort of I despise any sort of upper class bragging or just upper class showing off of what you're wearing and stuff.
Yeah.
Apart from a Drake Christmas jumper, for example, which is just a marvelous piece of clothing that I will absolutely brag about owning because it makes me better than you. But these people think that everything they wear is a Drake Christmas jumper, and that is incorrect. Yeah, I actually think one of the huge influences from my childhood is my, still to this day, distrust of authority of any kind. I have a natural inclination to think the worst of my authority figures, and I kind of have what a lot of people would call an inferiority complex when it comes to authority. I always feel like they're out to get me, or they don't have my best interest at heart, or something like that, and that's the result of my schooling. And like, interestingly, some of that ties back to the fact that it was very difficult for my teachers to get me to come to school in my actual uniform. Like, I would always wear like trainers, or a hoodie over my jumper and stuff, and I was difficult, so they were difficult with me, so I don't trust authority because of that. And that's a legitimate thing that is definitely a result of, constant arguments I've had throughout my childhood and stuff like that. And there's no getting around it.
Yeah. Yeah, that all makes sense. I think.
The next thing on this list says that if your parents were super controlling, you might be a stubborn adult. I love the word might.
Yeah, like, you might be, you might not. This sentence actually just means nothing.
It really means
like, that's literally a nothing sentence.
Yeah, that's
a complete nothing sentence. But then it also says in the paragraph, small paragraph below, that the children will also likely grow up to inherit the trait of being, super controlling.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of makes sense, The parent's super controlling, the child has no control. They grow up, they can finally have control, so they exert it in every possible way they can.
I sort of see that. I've seen that throughout my life, in that one person's father treated them one way, so their kids are treated the same way and stuff. And this is obviously a generalization, but I feel like that is a predominantly Generation X trait, and I feel like millennials are really doing the opposite of that, and I think millennials are really rebelling against that. I feel like the millennial spirit is much more one of, well, my dad treated me like shit, therefore I'm going to treat my son great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I don't know where kind of stuff like, I suppose the people who are having children now, who are kind of part of the kind of vaccination movement, and things like that, that really, they must be kind of I suppose they will be almost millennials. Yeah, and they have kind of been brought up with really controlling parents, and they are the example of this kind of growing up to inherit this trait of, being super controlling.
Yeah, that's
and completely distrusting of, for some reason, modern science and medicine.
Yeah.
Which, for any logical thinking human being, completely baffles me.
I'm thinking that we should actually do an episode about how in 2016 there is a flat Earth movement and things of that nature.
And I was going to say with several very wealthy and famous people, but, being behind that as a kind of a thing, but, you don't have to be even slightly intelligent to be wealthy or famous nowadays, so...
Yeah.
Just because celebrities believe in all this incredibly stupid shit is no, kind of note towards the general intelligence of the people that kind of believe it.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should definitely put on the list of episodes, which now has 397 topics on it, for those of you wondering. But yeah, it's sort of, I guess neither of us are parents, so it's harder for us to say, but I would imagine if I ever become a father again, I will do an even better job than I did with the first kid, so that's...
Yeah, the one that is that the one you nicknamed The Project?
That's correct.
Yeah.
His middle name is Experiment 13. It's a crazy thing, a lot of mistakes were made, but here we are, what can you do?
Yeah.
if you were allowed to watch TV as a baby, you may have suppressed communication skills. I think this idea is actually they quote a study and they say after observing mothers and children, researchers found that TV reduces parent-child communication. But I mean, if you wanted to prove something like that, it's so easy to do it. And a lot of people are saying it about phones nowadays, that they reduce communication and interaction between humans. I believe the complete opposite is true, but I can definitely see an argument to be made that mobile phone communication is decreasing human interaction, which is important to develop social skills.
Definitely,
But if you want to say something like, oh, TV reduces parent-child communication, yes, by all means, put a child and a parent in a room and put something captivating on the telly, and obviously they're not going to fucking talk through it because they're not dickheads, presumably. So,
see, I've got a problem with. I think the person that's written this article has the completely wrong end of the stick from the findings of the study that they've quoted.
Yeah.
Because they've said that researchers found that TV reduces parent-child communication. Even when there was speaking involved, the parents' comments were typically unrelated to what their children said. So, I think it's more of a fact that if your parents were, the kind of couch potatoes that sat there and just watched TV and didn't kind of engage with you as a child, then you'll have suppressed communication skills. It's got nothing to do with the fact that their parents have kind of sat the kid down in front of the telly. Yeah. It's that they've sat down in front of the telly with the kid.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a case of the child having watched too much TV that's made them unable to communicate. It's the fact that their parents haven't kind of involved themselves with their child.
No,
because they've been too busy watching TV.
They're separating spending time with their kid and watching TV. They're turning them into two separate things. So they're like, this is not me spending time with my kid, this is me watching TV. That will lead to suppressed communication skills because that's suppressing communication.
Yeah.
So I was raised with a lot of television. And
same.
I don't feel... I would say... if there was any negative impact to be had, it's the one that everyone who listens to this show knows, and it's that I think movies are real life an awful lot of the time. And when talking about real life things, serious real life things, I have a tendency to quote films and scenarios in movies and stuff. And
I watched a ton of TV as a kid. And the only problem that gave me was the fact that I'd rather sit there and get fat and watch TV than do anything else, really. So the only thing that contributed to was me getting fat.
And that's not a problem. There is nothing better than eating food and watching TV.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd say that as two people that have watched quite a substantial amount of TV and film in our formative years, I think we're relatively eloquent.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be able to manage a podcast with 53 episodes if we weren't.
Yeah, I think so too. Although the first 51 episodes are just static.
They are just gibberish.
Yeah, for an hour and a half.
Complete gibberish.
Crazy how it all worked out, really, when you think about it. By the way, for anyone that thinks that Jack is fat now, look at his Instagram and tell him to stop going to the gym all the time.
I'm suddenly slightly swole.
Yeah. You won't even drink beer anymore because of...
No.
Crazy.
What's gone wrong?
So the next thing is, I have a huge issue with the next point, and to be honest, I think we might just leave this as the last point from this article.
Yeah.
If you watch lots of violent TV, you're more likely to be an aggressive grown-up. This is according to a 15-year study. Children model their behaviors after violent scenes where the perpetrators are rewarded for violence. So... what do we have to counter this, if not anecdotal evidence? I never saw The Lion King as a kid, and that surprises everyone, but the list of Disney movies that I have not seen is astronomical. I think I saw Mulan, and that might be it. But when I was a kid, I was raised on Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and Steven Seagal movies and stuff. So this is where my love of action movies and everything comes from. Is from a very young age I was watching movies that were absolutely not for me at all. I was not in the target audience, and they were very violent, and I have never even been in a fight in real life.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever done that has like come close to fights is like me being beaten up by other people. I have no inclination to lead with violence, like in any aspect of my life at all. Like I've never. I mean, I've gotten angry at video games and I've broken controllers and stuff, but I've never. I've just never really been a violent person at all. And I know I'm just one person, and I have a different set of circumstances and everything that add to that idea and all. But it's just not true. Like that children are more likely to.
Yeah.
And apparently, my mum tells me I was like quite an angry kid as well. And a lot of people think that I'm a really angry adult, but like truth be told, I've never expressed violence at all. So I just.
Yeah, this all just goes hand in hand with the whole, video games are evil and rock music is polluting the youth of today, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I can't vocalise it. Like, it gives the example of if a child watches a detective who's rewarded for bringing a murderer to justice after a violent clash, it will result in more pushing, grabbing and shoving from the child.
Yeah, I can't even believe that a child would understand that the person has been rewarded for their violence, because
no,
like I know that as a kid, there's a movie called Another 48 Hours. It's got Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy in it. It's from the early 90s. It's directed by Walter Hill. It's a nothing movie. It's a standard 5 out of 10 low budget action movie.
Turn your brain off and watch.
Yeah, and I must have seen that movie about 170 times. I own 2 copies of it on DVD, and I owned it on VHS and everything as well back in the day. But I did not have a fucking clue what the plot to that movie even was until I was about 12. Like I used to watch it so much because the shooting scenes were really cool, and Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, like, they crack a lot of skulls to get to the bottom of the case, and like it's about this guy called Jack Cates who, in standard cliche cop movie thing, gets like suspended from duty and has to go out on his own. And
does he have to give it his badge and his gun?
He absolutely had to give it his badge and his gun.
Hallmark of a great film, that.
Then there's a scene where he even bought a fake badge in a toy shop and used that as his badge and still played cop. It's so good. It's such a good movie. Everyone should go and watch it. But yeah, like, he had to do a lot of that. He had to do a lot of cheating and play acting to get a lot of bar fights, to get the stuff, to get the information out of people and everything. And I didn't have a clue of that. I was like, that's not, children don't see that as you being rewarded for something. Like, that's not how the world works. So
really, children have not only a short attention span, but a short memory, and depending on like age, like this, there was a study, because I did A-level psychology, so I do know what I'm talking about.
You're an expert in this field,
yeah,
I believe.
Basically got a PhD in child psychology, but there was this study where the researcher sat in front of the child and had a glass of water that was like tall and skinny, and a glass of water that was short, or like a glass that was short and fat, poured the water from the tall skinny glass into the short and fat glass, and was like, is there the same amount there? And they were like, no, there's more in this one now, because it's bigger, because it's wider.
Wow.
And that shows you like the kind of cognitive ability of children.
Yeah.
Like they were as far as I can remember, like 6 or 7. Like, there wasn't kind of that translation there of like the volume from that one went just straight into that other one. All they saw was that one's big, that one's skinny. Like, they didn't see, they didn't kind of put 2 and 2 together, as it were. So a child will see a violent scene and go, that was a violent scene. And then they'll see the person get the bad guy and they'll go, oh, he got the bad guy. And they won't go, oh, he got the bad guy because he was violent. Like, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, he got the bad guy because he's the good guy.
He's the good guy, yeah. Things are a lot more black and white when you're a child.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a huge testament to that is how many people just assume that the protagonist in any movie is the good guy. Like,
Yeah.
there are movies where the person being followed, like the person that the movie follows, is like not a good guy at all. But people will just assume that they are the good guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, the first half of Place Beyond the Pines, like Ryan Gosling in that movie is not a good guy, and I don't know. He's built up to be the protagonist who walks the fine line between good person, who just keeps getting pulled down into basically the character he plays from Drive and every other movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, when you're a kid, it's about black and white, good and evil. Jedi Knight or Sith Lord, and it's not about violence rewarding people. But then again, I could just be like, I'm using my own experience to belittle a study, and to be quite honest, I hate people who do that, because it's the same thing that leads to this attitude of, oh, these asylum seekers, why don't they just get a job? I worked when I was a kid and I had no problem, and stuff like that. And I hate that attitude, and I'm kind of being that, and I'm really aware that I'm being it, and I don't like it. Yeah, so I think to move this in, like, one thing that I read, right, that is kind of super interesting to me is that a serial killer is a very well defined thing, in the sense that everyone kind of has a basic understanding of what a serial killer is. Movies have played a huge part in that, and I guess it's because the serial killer is the perfect movie villain in a way, because they have a code, and they have a definition, and they have characteristics that are so well understood.
Easily to kind of translate, especially through
so
their film.
There's not a whole lot of extra effort required when putting a serial killer into something. There is a thing called the McDonald triad, which is a characteristic, a set of things that happen to most serial killers at a young age. It's something that they all have in common, and the three things are: from a young age, if a child is interested in arson, if they like burning stuff, basically, that's not good. Also characterized is cruelty to animals, which is one of the biggest sort of tropes of a serial killer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
One of the main characteristics is that it starts with animals, and that's the trial run they do. So you got cruelty to animals, arson, and then the third thing that everyone looks out for serial killers is unintentional bedwetting during sleep, persistent after the age of 5. And I was really surprised to learn that it was those specific three things. The bedwetting thing made me super sympathize, because it's almost as if there's no idea, there's no sort of psychological explanation for why bedwetting after the age of 5 is a thing that's consistent in serial killers, but it's believed, as you can probably guess, that it's to do with the humiliation of getting caught, and the parents get mad, and the kid just feels terrible about themselves and stuff. I find that to be such a bizarre thing. I don't know why anyone should be made to feel ashamed for something that they literally cannot control. That's, I don't know, that's crazy. But it's very interesting. I think that those three things are very prevalent in serial killers. And
I was just doing a little bit of reading about the bedwetting, and it does actually say that it's kind of it's been described as a destructive and entirely discredited myth, that a lot of crime researchers have acknowledged that it's not linked with kind of sociopathic behaviour later on in life.
Really?
So it's completely unclear, really, as to whether that is, it's an entrenched stereotype that it's part of this kind of triad of evil, as it were.
Yeah.
But a lot of people kind of dispute the bedwetting thing completely.
I listened to a podcast about serial killers, and I know that it's a thing. These statistics and this data was comprised by several different investigation teams. They used crime records from most police stations in America, and they also had FBI agents help like supply the data and stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually know that it was disputed at all, but I guess it depends on what study that you could use. Like,
Yeah.
I know it says on the Wikipedia thing that it's been called an urban legend, but
Yeah.
I also know that if it's something that the police look out for and that they have characterized
Yeah.
themselves, like, I don't know, I find it...
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. I think it would require more extensive reading to figure out what kind of side the thing lies on, but if any of you have kids out there, just keep an eye out anyway, just in case.
Well, I think, like, irrespective of the bedwetting thing, if you're being cruel to animals and you're really interested in fire, like, that's something to
I think I think there's a general kind of I think everyone's been fascinated with fire at some point in their life, but I think kind of destructive fascination with fire is the thing to look out for, because simply because fire is interesting, man. Like it appeals to the baser kind of real Neanderthal inside you a little bit. I don't know.
I've never.
Am I sounding a bit like a psychopath now?
You are sympathising. Am I
sounding like I'm? Oh god, I'm a psychopath sympathiser.
You did tell me earlier that
you watched one episode of Making a Murderer, and here you are, Jesus.
You did DM me earlier on Twitter and say you have an uncontrollable urge to kill a person. So.
Yeah, and I have been wetting the bed again recently.
Yeah, so there you have it.
Quite frequently and copiously.
I have a candle that's lit right now. That's about as interested in fire as I get in the literal sense. I enjoy fire as a metaphor, but I've never been interested in fire at all. My cousin Dara, who's been on this show, he had a huge interest in fire. I was once in his room, and he was wearing only his boxers because he had just come out of the shower, and he sprayed himself with Lynx and lit the Lynx on fire.
That's an interesting move, that one.
He just set himself on fire because he could. Oh, one of my favourite things that's ever happened has just come to light. Oh,
dear
God.
Lord.
What an absolute hero.
That is certainly something special.
Yeah, don't try that at home.
No, yeah, don't try that at home, kids. Jesus.
What a guy. He's definitely coming back on the show. He has so much more to give.
Just to set himself on fire first.
Yeah, for an hour.
Just an hour of screaming.
What could go wrong? Nothing, I'd imagine.
No. What could possibly go wrong?
Should we move into fears that shaped your adulthood?
Yeah.
I find fear to be a very fascinating thing. We've done a podcast about it in the past.
One of our better ones.
Well, yeah, probably the best one. Nah, that's not true.
We're all the best.
That was our peak then, but now we're like really on fire and stuff.
Yeah, that was our peak after 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's correct. We did sort of differentiate between fear and phobia.
Phobias,
I find fear is definitely a broader spectrum. It's defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm. I think fear encompasses other things such as dread and shame, and I think fear has its root in most of the bad things that you feel. Even things that you dislike about yourself are probably deeply rooted in fear. I know that, just as an example of what I'm talking about, I from a really young age I had not breathing difficulties but sinuses problems. I've had like several operations, and I had to get grommets in my ear, and I used to have really strong earaches as a result of my blocked nose, which I don't think I could breathe out of my nose until I was about 11 years old. When I was a kid as well, I used to... Have you ever had a cold or like an illness so bad that you can feel your heartbeat in your ear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had that like every day of my life as a kid.
Jesus.
It used to be impossible for me to get to sleep, and I used to feel like I was being tormented and stuff, and it was like really, really, really annoying. But as I got older, it improved, and through operations and stuff, I got better and better. And even in primary school, in later primary school years, I had sort of difficulty breathing through my nose, and I breathed through my mouth, so I was a mouth breather as a kid.
Yeah.
And I never knew that this was a problem or that I was alone in this. Like, I never knew that this wasn't a thing that everyone had. And one day I was doing a test in school, and like everyone in the class was super quiet and you could hear anything, and
there you were, just sat there going
yeah, and loads of people were like, shut the fuck up, stop breathing so deeply, and I never knew this was a thing. And then like other people started laughing and stuff, and I was like completely perplexed. I was like, what are you telling me to stop doing?
I don't understand.
And they would do the breathing motion, and I'd be like, why are you doing that? What is your problem? What am I doing wrong? And it turned out anyway that I was breathing really loudly, and that upset everyone for some reason. So now as an adult, I have, like, when I'm on a bus and I'm listening to music, I have to sometimes take the headphones out of my ear and make sure I'm not breathing too loudly. And I absolutely cannot listen to headphones and walk at the same time, because as soon as I start thinking about my breathing, I can't listen to the music anymore because I can't even hear it. All I can hear is myself trying to concentrate on my breathing. It's like that thing where you say to someone, you're now breathing on manual, go, and the person immediately thinks about the breaths they're taking in and taking out, whereas usually that's a thing you do on autopilot. As soon as I have my headphones in, that's all I can think about is, oh, people are going to walk past me, and I'll be like,
yeah.
and it's made me, it's sort of ruined, like, listening to music while traveling for me. Like, I don't get to do that as much as a normal person does, and that's really upsetting for me. And it's really a thing that's born out of a childhood fear, or like a moment of sort of childhood embarrassment or something like that has like legit carried into my adulthood, and like, music is a thing that's incredibly important to me. Like, I listen to so much of it and so often, and I'm so interested in it, and I kind of can't really do it at times when other people can, and that's deeply upsetting to me. Like, on a serious note, it really does annoy me.
You saying about someone saying you're now breathing manually. Yeah. Go. It always reminds me, and it's never particularly bothered me, but people say you can now feel your tongue in your mouth.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Just think about the fact that your tongue's in your mouth. Just have fun with that one, everybody. If that bothers you.
I made a really sincere, honest, personal statement covering about 3,500 words, and you're like, it's weird. Your tongue is in your mouth.
I've got to keep things light-hearted.
That's true. Yeah.
No, but I don't quite have anything like that with in terms of something like that. I mean, the only thing that I can think of really is, and it seems really trivial as to what it's brought into my adult life, but I used to have recurring nightmares about kind of like intruders coming into my home and kind of killing my family, or just people breaking in and stuff. And for that reason, I can't sleep with my bedroom door open. Never have been able to.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Like, I know people that can sleep with their bedroom door open, no problem. It doesn't bother them whether it's open or closed. But I just can't do it. It just doesn't sit right with me. It's like the last line of defense before I get murdered by an intruder. And that's kind of what that's my thing that stems from childhood. That's the main one I can think of.
I have this thing that I spoke to my now girlfriend on our first date. We talked about this. I could not go to sleep in a room where the wardrobe door is open. Like, that's to be closed. I'm not comfortable with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I can't sit in my room with the door open either. Like, if I remember one time I was sat here for ages. I was working on a video or something, and then I turned around and my bedroom door had been open. Like, I left it open when I came in, and it freaked me out, and I had to get up and close it straight away and pretend that didn't happen. Like, to think that I was sitting there the whole time with the door open. And it is, like, it's a very similar thing to what you have, I would imagine. It's a sense of unnerving, or...
Yeah, it's that kind of, like, it's security. Like, you know, you're gonna, if someone is coming in with sinister intentions, you're gonna hear the door handle. You're gonna, you know, feel the air pressure change in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll be alert. Whereas, you know, the door's wide open. You know, they can just wander in and do whatever. And there's another thing that I've just remembered, and it still fucks me up to this day. Like, at my parents' house, I'm currently at uni, but at my parents' house, we have a loft conversion, and my bedroom is in the loft. Top of the house, third story, it's the only room at the top of the house. And I have this big bay window at the back that overlooks our back garden. And every time, if I go to kind of close the curtains and it's dark out and I haven't closed them yet, for some reason, my brain just goes, what if there's someone at the window?
Mm-hmm.
My windows aren't open. They can't get in. They have no possible way of getting in. A third story, they have no possible way of even fucking getting up there unless they brought quite a large ladder. But my brain goes, you're going to close a curtain and there's going to be a fucking murderer outside.
Yeah, I know.
And I get irrationally scared of that. And it makes no sense whatsoever.
I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. It's definitely...
Yeah.
I actually, before I go into that as well, I have another one that's another weird one, like the breathing one, that I think, like, I understand that these are completely me, and I've never really met people who share these sorts of things, but when I was a kid, I remember we used to have, in the kitchen, there was, half the kitchen was tiled. Well, it was actually those laminated things that
linoleum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lino. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
And then the other half was a carpet that was kind of an oceany color, the blue greeny ocean color. You know, the one like the Thailand shore kind of color.
Yeah.
And I used to play with my toys on that side of the kitchen with the carpet, and before I ever learned to cut my nails, I was playing with, I think they were like toy cars or something, and I brushed my nail. My nail was quite long, and I brushed it along the carpet, and it bent backwards. Oh, and even thinking about this makes me so uneasy, right? And it's nothing to actually do with the nails, but the feeling or sensation of things on a carpet, I cannot have it. Like,
really,
we have carpet in work, and there's like cardboard boxes that they're too heavy to lift, so people drag them
push it along the floor.
And that sound, that sensation of a thing on carpet,
like nails on a chalkboard for you.
It is, yeah. Even like the thought of my nails touching a carpet, I am actually like I'm in such a defensive position right now just thinking about it. Like, I've got my nails I'm putting my thumbnails into my other nails, and just so that I know that they're all clear of carpet, and like my shoulders are so close together, it makes me so fucking uncomfortable and so awkward, and it's because of that one time as a kid. But it's completely like, it's a raw nerve thing now. Like, it's a trigger that I just can't deal with that at all. It makes me so uncomfortable, and I posted about it on a forum once, and one person said they have the same thing, and that's the only time I've ever met someone with the same. It's so fucking uncomfortable for me. Yeah,
it's really specific.
Yeah, and like it happens in work all the time when people push those boxes along the carpet, and I just can't deal with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, like, I can't think of anything like really specific like that. I don't know if just everything just was kind of like washed over me. I was really nonplussed about everything as a child. or you know, if just there's a lot of things that I don't, because when I speak to my girlfriend and she says, what's your earliest memory, and it's like, well, I remember when I was 11, and it's like, I don't really like remember my childhood. I know it was good, I know I enjoyed it and all that. For some reason my memory just doesn't seem to work well for like early memories. Like, people talk about their first memory, or like when they were really young and these things, and it's like, I don't kind of have that.
Do you have, out of interest, are there many photos of you as a kid?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Oh, really? That goes against the fucking theory I was about to
Oh, yeah. Like, I've posted a few on Twitter as a joke where, Some of them where I look wonderfully dashing with a flower painted on my chest. Stuff like that when I was like 4 or 5 or whatever. But
there are barely any photos of me as a kid.
yeah.
Like I have one in my room. There's a couple more lying around, and some other members of my family have some, but that's it. Like there's no. I know why I don't have many memories as a kid, and it's because I don't have many photographs to make up memories with. Because a lot of your memories are made up, as I've spoken about before. It's not. There just aren't any photos of me, and therefore I just don't have a huge recollection. But then I have a really good perception of times and places and people that I knew at certain times, and I don't ever get confused between people, who people are. And I've met, like, I went to like 4 different schools in 2 different countries, and I know a lot of people that I've met, just random names and stuff, and I have a really good ability to associate them all with the correct place and the correct names and faces and things like that, and that's something that I'm really happy with. But I don't have memories.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, part of me wonders if, kind of my lack of, I've just thought of this now, is that, my lack of kind of memories of when I was younger kind of ties in with my almost not complete lack of sentimentality. But I'm not a particularly sentimental person. Like, it takes quite a lot for me to be kind of like, if I'm going through an old, say my wardrobe and I'm trying to make space for whatever old toys that I had when I was a kid, unless it was something really specific and really special, it's kind of it's out the window, it's gone.
Yeah, I find that really strange and also really interesting. It doesn't surprise me because I know the type of person that you are, and you're very calculated and rational and logical. So why would you be sentimental? Because if anything, sentimentality is probably one of the clauses that stops humanity from progressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, in a way, sentimentality is probably one of the roots of the mentality I hate, of why you have to wear a suit to work and stuff like that. Because it harks back to the good old days.
You have to, because that's the way it is, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I don't like that. But I am incredibly sentimental. I haven't been so much in my later years, I have to say. I think I really did make a choice in my late teenage years to just become as rational as possible. I felt it come over me, that you can't have emotional responses to things if you want to be an actual person. Like, if you want to be taken seriously, you can't lead with your emotion and let your emotion dictate the things that you do. And sentimentality is like the root of so many emotions and stuff. That being said, I would be deeply upset if something happened to some of the items that I have in my room. Like, I'd be really upset if I never saw some things again.
Yeah.
And I kind of keep like, I have so many things. I've got like a box full of stuff from when from my earlier dates with my girlfriend and stuff. And like, if something were to happen to those things, I'd be legitimately like really sad.
Yeah.
Like, I'd actually feel a huge sense of sadness within me, and that, I guess that's fine because it's to do with someone that you love or whatever. But I mean, isn't that what sentimentality is essentially? Is holding on to something. I think what I was saying to you earlier about nostalgia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's probably again all linked in with your kind of strong sense of nostalgia as well, strong lover's nostalgia.
I definitely do nostalgia more than anyone else I've ever met. Like, what I was saying earlier as well about remembering smells and tastes and stuff like that. Just the fucking intro to some songs just takes me back and puts me in this mode of like, oh god, remember that summer and how good that summer was, and stuff like that. And everyone knows that, like, you put on a certain song in a pub, everyone will go crazy for it and stuff. But I do it with songs that are like, I'll do it with like an album track from an Incubus album or something like that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, god, remember like this song. And I don't know. Nostalgia is just an incredibly it's something that has an incredibly strong hold of me, and not in a way that I can articulate particularly well.
Yeah.
But I am the type to come home drunk and put on lots of music that I would be ashamed to wake up the next morning and learn that I listened to that night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's something that I actually dislike about myself because it holds me back, I feel like I get way too caught up in nostalgia. But I think as long as I'm aware of it, then it's fine. But
Yeah, like self-awareness is kind of an important factor. If you're kind of just completely allowed yourself to be caught up in nostalgia, you'd never kind of return to the present day.
yeah, that's the thing.
You know.
And like I have gotten quite good at like just binning sentimental items and stuff like that. But still, that will always be there. Like it's very much part of who I am. Is that I have really, really strong connections with fond memories, and I find it very hard to let go of them. And that's kind of... I wonder sometimes if that's not the same thing, is that sort of almost dream-like state of reminiscing and stuff. I wonder if that is very much tied to my... I feel like I fantasize about winning the lottery more than most people as well. I think I'm probably just a dreamer.
Yeah.
And that is what I would define myself as.
Remember back in the days when niggas had waves, Gazelle shades and corn braids, pitching pennies, honeys had the high top jellies, shooting skelly, motherfuckers was all friendly, lounging at the barbecues, drinking brews with the neighborhood crews, hanging on the avenues. Turn your pages to 1993, niggas is getting smoked, G. Believe me. Talk slick, you get your neck slick quick. Cause real street niggas ain't having that shit. Toting text for rep, smoking blunts in the project hallways, shooting dice all day, waiting for niggas to step up on some fighting shit. We get hype and shit and start lighting shit. So step away with your fist fight ways, motherfucker. This ain't back in the days, but you don't hear me though.
What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro, and you're listening to Things Done Changed by Biggie, because it's about nostalgia. If you're listening on SoundCloud, you're listening to a different song, which is better suited to the topic, but that's another reason why you should check out SoundCloud. But I really like this song. I think anything to do with nostalgia definitely is relevant to this episode. I hope you guys are enjoying the episode. If you are, please do leave a like and enjoy the rest of the episode.
And I'm down with the shit too. For the stupid motherfuckers wanna try to use Kung Fu. Instead of a Mac 10, he tried scrapping slugs in his back end. That's what the fuck happens when you sleep on the street. Little motherfuckers with heat wanna leave a nigga 6 feet deep. And we coming to the waist to make sure the crying and commotion ain't a motherfucking fake. Back in the days, our parents used to take care of us. Look at them now, they even fucking scared of us. Calling the city for help because they can't maintain. Damn shit done changed. If I wasn't in the rap game, I'd probably have a key knee deep in the crack game. Because the streets is a short stop. Either you're slinging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. Shit, it's hard being young from the slums, eating 5-cent gums, not knowing where your meal's coming from. And now the shit's getting crazier and major. Kids younger than me, they got the Sky Grand pages. Going out of town, blowing up. 6 months later, all the dead bodies showing up. It made me want to grab the 9 and the shotty, but I gotta go identify the body. Damn, what happened to the summertime cookouts? Every time I turn around, a nigga getting took out. Shit, my mama got cancer in her breast. Don't ask me why I'm motherfucking stressed. Things done changed.
pretty much it.
Would you say, you said, a dreamer, but would you say you're an optimist, pessimist, realist?
I'd say I'm all of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, with differing levels of efficiency. Like, I would say at my very core, I'm definitely a realist.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely understand that I will not win the lotto, and it will not happen. But again, I let my emotions rule me, and like today was my first day back in work. I was in the UK at the weekend.
Yeah.
And back in work today, it was fucking miserable because this was my Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought 2 lottery tickets because like I let my emotion run away with it. Like, I find it really hard to let logic dictate some aspects of my life, and I feel like it's almost not a reward to myself, but like a gift to myself to be like, here, just buy this ticket, and the dream of winning it will tide you over until you're done.
Yeah.
And like, for context's sake as well, that's not in a pathetic, poor me way. I really like my job, and I'm really lucky to be in my job, and I can totally pull myself out of that world and say, look, this is, with the sense of perspective that you should have, this is your job and you really like it and you're very lucky to be there, and like I'm gaining so much experience from it and I keep improving and stuff, and it's all really important to me. But still, like, man, imagine winning the lotto.
Yeah, like, not having to work and being able to do what you want. Like, you can enjoy your job and still want to win the lotto and never have to work again.
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive. You can, like, if I had a job that I enjoyed and I won the lotto, of course I wouldn't work. There's so many things higher up on my list of, my to-do list, as it were, that
traveling and studying.
Yeah, traveling and stuff. Just, enjoying myself. Like, I can enjoy my job, but that doesn't mean I'm enjoying myself.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
That's very good as well. That's a really good way of putting it.
I think.
Basically, I think humans have like several different varying levels of happiness that they're okay with or not okay with. Like, I'd actually really like to do a podcast about happiness sometime, and just about how it is not a thing that, like, it's not this thing that you're going to achieve and have it be lasting. Like, it's about maintaining and accepting things and stumbling into things, and there are so many different things that it encompasses. I think that we do a bad job of defining happiness and using it as a measuring stick by which we determine good life or bad life, and that's not good. Like, there's something to be said about the fact that I mentioned fear earlier and could come up with so many like things that come from the root of fear. Like, I even think like angst, shame, dread, all of these things all come from fear. Like, happiness is so different to that, in the sense that people think of it as just one thing to work towards, rather than something that you have to work with,
Yeah, and I think we've spoken about this before in a pub or somewhere, but that kind of everyone's striving to be this kind of, extreme level of happy constantly, that they'll never reach it. Whereas, if you kind of aim to just be content, and there's nothing wrong with being content, kind of maintaining that level of content instead of aiming for happiness, missing it and dropping below content and then aiming for happiness again, and kind of going in this way. If you can maintain content with kind of peaks and, gentle peaks of happiness that slowly tracks towards happiness, then I think that's kind of what most people, people that have to work a 9 to 5, that's what you aim for, with kind of happiness as the kind of lotto win.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like, that is the story of my last 5 years or so, was that I was aiming for happiness and I was going for
falling short.
Yeah, I was going for YouTube money, and I say that in the sense that I did it all for the money. Like, that's obviously a lie. I'm probably the only FIFA YouTuber that gets in touch with his self this much to, you know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was going for YouTube as a career, and I really wanted to make it work, and I kept on failing and just feeling like really defeated, like really badly defeated. And I didn't really have a whole lot of like extrovert abilities, like just going out and doing stuff was really, really hard for me. And now I'm in a 9 to 5, and it's so different. Like I'm so fucking different compared to the person that I was last year, or well, a year and a half ago now, or 2 years ago. Like it's actually incredible how different I am, and that's because I've accepted that you can't just fucking go for everything. Like you have to have a base by which you can jump towards the lotto win. You can't just keep jumping and jumping and hope that you're going to make it, because it's not going to work that way. And that's really important too. Like it definitely dream and do everything that you can, but you'll find as well that the people who are the wealthiest in the world have a tendency to constantly seek out more wealth. And the only difference between them and me buying the lotto ticket is that they have the experience, they got there, and now they can use everything they did to get there to do it again and do more and make it even easier for themselves. And it's just something that you have to work towards. And it can be a really hard thing to accept, but that's what life is, I guess. I don't think I'm done talking about fears as a kid, because some of the most interesting stories and stuff as a kid were like Goosebumps. And did you read Goosebumps books?
No, I never read Goosebumps.
They were fucking incredible.
Unfortunately,
so good. But yeah, no, there was a TV show called Are You Afraid of the Dark? And like stuff like that used to I actually used to watch those quite happily. Like they didn't really scare me. But stuff like the X-Files and shows like that used to fucking scare me so bad. I don't know why this happened, but when I was a kid, I guess I'll start off with an easy one, which is my fear of the ocean.
I can join you on that one as well.
That's an easy one. When I was like, I think I was like 8, maybe 7 or 8, we started swimming lessons in school, and everyone could swim. They were like, anyone who can't swim, line up over there. No one lined up over there. And it's like, everyone who can swim from here to here. And everyone just jumped in and did it. And I was like, well, like, I'm the same person as all of these people. I've had the same number of years on the planet. So if they can all swim, I can probably swim too. And I remember jumping in, looking up, falling more and more towards the bottom, and lifeguards pulling me out, and everyone asking me, was I okay? And since then, the ocean has scared me.
You see, I don't have like, I've always been kind of wary of the ocean and kind of respected it, I suppose. The only thing that I can think of that stands out, and I wasn't even that young. I wasn't particularly young. Like my sorry. Like my dad was a county swimmer when he was younger, and I've been brought up, and I've done I was a county swimmer as well when I was younger. So I've always been a strong swimmer. So, and it's not kind of my inability to swim that's worried me. It's kind of a fear of the unknown about what's kind of bobbing below the surface, as it were, and it kind of manifested itself in this incident. I'm not sure if I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but we were on holiday in the south of France, and me and my dad had swum out to this. It was like a bunch of big plastic containers roped together. It formed like a floating platform, and it was anchored to the ocean floor. And it was just like a diving platform where you could dive off and kind of that kind of thing. But then by the time we got out there and we got onto it and looked down, and we were surrounded by jellyfish, like absolutely thousands of them.
Whoa.
They weren't there before. We got out, looked around for a bit, and suddenly they were there. Thousands of them. And, there were people kind of diving away and like diving over them and swimming before they could kind of like, they weren't like surrounding the the thing on purpose, like they were sharks about to attack. They're just jellyfish.
They're jellyfish in attack formation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spearhead formation. No, yeah, they were kind of just bobbing about as jellyfish do. But it's the fact that they kind of just appeared all of a sudden out of nowhere, and it freaked me the fuck out. And thinking about it still freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's the only kind of manifestation of my fear of the ocean.
There's
really.
It's really hard to come up with a more alien set of species as well than jellyfish.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a tweet the other day. It's under the premise of God, when he's like God just creating stuff.
Yeah.
It's God creating jellyfish. How about an evil bag? That is, like, they are so... Yeah. And jellyfish live forever as well. There are jellyfish alive now that have been here since the inception of the planet. And that's terrifying. The ocean is filled with things like that. And things that we haven't even discovered yet. And if that doesn't scare you, who are you?
Yeah, like... it's just not right.
No, it's
I can't put it into words, but it's like the fucking ocean floor could have anything on it, like literally anything. There are parts of that we've explored more of the moon than we have of the ocean floors.
Yeah.
I think that's usually the kind of the statistic that gets bandied about when talking about these things, isn't it?
It's all of we know more about space than we do about the oceans.
Yeah. That's not right.
I don't think it is either. But I'd say there's probably some easy way of making it a quantified statement. You know, it's, well, in terms of the... and stuff,
Yeah.
I assume I didn't need to finish that with any actual words.
No, don't worry, you don't have to finish that with any bullshit facts.
Yeah.
But, like, we're still finding animals that exist in the oceans that we've been able to explore for thousands of years. But we're also still, popping out new planets and stuff that we haven't seen.
Yeah, I actually, to tie it back to the actual topic, to link this with Fear of the Ocean, there's a movie called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've talked about it before. It's got Kirk Douglas in it. It's from 1954, I want to say. Might be 58, maybe. I don't know. I have it on DVD. I'll take
your word for it, to be honest.
It's a great, great, great movie. I really, really love it. It has so much great moments in it, despite being from so long ago. I won't say it holds up, but it is such a good watch. Like, if it's ever on a Sunday afternoon or whatever, or you're off school and it's the thing that's on in the morning, watch it. It's so good. But there is a giant squid, which in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the book and the movie, a giant squid famously attacks the Nautilus, which is their submarine. And this is a book that was written, I believe, in the late 1800s. A giant squid attacks the crazy-looking submarine, and it's a hectic and really tense scene. Eventually they do manage to defeat it, but like it wasn't easy, and this, like it's very, you're very aware of the fact that it's a really surreal thing that's happening. But the giant squid was a myth. Like there was no such thing as a giant squid when that was written. Like with its tentacles wrapped around a full-size submarine, that's not a thing that's ever happened until around 2007. When ocean explorers, I think they were about 200 or 2,000, could have been either, off the coast of Japan, miles. Such a fucked up sentence.
Not leagues.
That's actually probably why I think it's the number 2, is because of 20,000 leagues. That's how memory works, ladies and gentlemen. I have source amnesia. I can't remember what the actual thing was, so I may have just invented that because I know that it was some distance.
I know that it was. I thought, for some reason, I thought that Japanese fishermen had found one washed up somewhere.
That happened as well, but it was after.
Okay.
They actually found it and filmed it at the bottom of the ocean first, and then they found a live one washed up. But the one that they found washed up wasn't actually as big as the one they had discovered previously. Although its eye was bigger than a human head, as far as I remember.
That's fucking nuts.
No, I'm pretty sure the eye was like half the size of a human.
Jesus.
But yeah, the giant squid, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's someone dreamed that up and put it in a fictional book for a
Yeah.
really surreal scene, and
It's fucking real.
yeah, it's fucking
And
real.
it's lurking
Imagine
about at the bottom of the
there-
ocean.
Have you seen that earwig thing from the ocean floor?
Yeah.
It's an earwig that's about 4 foot in length. Like, oh, it's fucking disgusting just thinking about that. But that's a thing that exists in the ocean. You could probably make something up within a certain degree of potential ability to exist, and it probably exists.
Yeah.
And that's scary as fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like the blue whale is the largest mammal that's ever existed
yep,
on the planet. Full stop.
yep.
Right. From the beginning of time. Sometimes we don't know where they go.
Yeah.
Like, they've put trackers on them, and they've tried to track them, and they go so fucking deep that they can't track them anymore, and we don't know where they go, and they'll just pop up like a week later.
They go
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Nah.
That makes absolutely no sense. But it's a thing that happens regularly.
Yeah. I can't ever articulate as well as I would like to my fear, which is in equal levels a fascination with the ocean. Like, it is an incredible
It really
thing.
sounds like I'm joking, but it really fucking weirds me out.
Yeah. And I actually genuinely think that 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a huge reason for my sort of, like, there is one scene early on in the movie where they don these sort of almost astronaut suits, and they go to the bottom of the ocean to a sunken pirate ship or something like that. And just looking at that at the time fascinated me, watching the fish wiggle in and out of different compartments of the ship, which reminded me of a goldfish. In fact, a huge fish tank that my granddad used to have with, like, sunken ships and all the bits and stuff. And it used to always fascinate me as a kid. Like, I used to always, in all the stories that I made up when I was playing with my toys and stuff, there was always an underwater lair, and it's always been like a huge source of fear and fascination. Like, it's spectacular. It's amazing. They need to do more movies about the ocean, I feel. Like, you know the movie Sphere with Dustin Hoffman and like, the first half of that movie, totally, I really, really loved it. It turns out to be a garbage movie with a garbage message, but the first half of it I was so fucking into, because it's a crazy alien thing in the ocean, basically.
Yeah.
I've never seen The Abyss, but I haven't ever really heard anyone big it up to the point where I should watch it. But they need to do more ocean related stuff, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure we spoke about this when we spoke about the when we did fears and phobias, because we spent, I think, a long time on the ocean in that as well.
Yeah.
But seriously, everyone just Google ocean depth diagram and look at the fucking really long one that's quite thin, and it details, you know, how deep everything is and how deep things go. And the fact that they're, you know, at the bottom, at 36,000 feet, it just says the lowest known point in the ocean. It's believed that there are lower and undiscovered points as only 10% of the ocean has been mapped. Yeah. That's unreal.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely unreal.
It's mega. 36,000 feet. Ugh.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
No, there's just not words, is there? Like,
no, it's bizarre. Also, you know what's a cool thing to Google? Underwater rivers.
Underwater rivers are amazing.
They're so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I love how, like, the biggest recurring theme on this podcast is the ocean.
It's because of what lurks beneath, and we all know exactly what lurks beneath.
That's very true. I want to venture into something else that I had a huge fear of as a kid. And I think it's probably due to the fact that I had a at least semi-Catholic upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, like, went to several Catholic schools and had to deal with all the religion stuff. And there was a time when I would have claimed to have believed in God and been religious and stuff.
Yeah.
I would have claimed I was a Catholic. I don't know if I ever truly believed in God and that he especially cared about how faithful I was and stuff like that, but I definitely believed in the devil, and I definitely was fucking terrified of the devil when I was a kid. To like really absolutely unbelievable levels. And I think it's because the devil, if you think about it, is the perfect monster or bad, villain, scary beast thing, because it can be fucking anything.
Yeah.
Like, it can be anywhere, it can be anyone, anything. Like, I saw the movie End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. What's the guy's name? Fuck, why can I not remember his name? The Irish actor plays the devil in it. He's in Miller's Crossing. Oh dear God, this is.
What was the name of the film again?
End of Days.
To the internet.
Yeah, you find out.
Yeah, I will do that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne, yes. Gabriel Byrne plays the devil in it, and
yes, he does.
He's like just a really like charming guy that everyone wants to be and stuff like that. And then he has this ability to manifest himself as other people. And there's one part where like he pisses on a guy and then lights it on fire, because obviously the devil's piss is flammable and stuff.
Nice.
But every time the devil appears in that movie, this really scary music comes on, and even just thinking of that as a kid used to fucking terrify me. And it really did like properly ruin me. I remember I once had this dream that I tried to destroy the devil. And I woke up the next morning terrified to move from my bed in case the actual devil found out about that.
Yeah, he'd be angry at you.
Yeah, and like it
plotting his demise.
It literally ruled like a part of my life where like I can remember like a good few months there. Last year, I was like, but I was of an age where I should have really known better. I think I was like 11, and 12, and even. Never into secondary school. I never had fears like that. But yeah, I was fucking terrified of the devil. Yeah. Just so like, being in a dark room, he could be in here, and I might see his eyes open and glow in the dark, that kind of thing.
And that's it. That's the end for you.
Yeah, that's it. Like darkness has the same. When you're a kid, at least, darkness has the same properties as what we think of the ocean now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In that,
it's just that whole fear of the unknown.
We know more about space than we do about the dark.
We know exactly the same amount as we know about the space as we know about the dark.
Well, space is dark.
The space is full of the dark.
That's right.
That's a fact right there.
I was expecting the fear of the dark Wikipedia to be more substantial than having some researchers, beginning with Sigmund Freud, consider fear of the dark as a manifestation of separation anxiety order. Why is Sigmund Freud I think I'll just leave it there. Why is he? Like,
he's just a name that everybody knows, and they can go, yes, that is a psychologist.
But was he at some time a groundbreaking? Like, I just don't get it with him. Everything that he says is pretty much all the same thing. But
it's all about the penis.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is with him. But when Dara was on the podcast, he gave a really good theory about fear of the dark and how it goes back to like the hunter-gatherer days, and just darkness is the perfect time for
predators.
Wolves can see in the dark and stuff like that, and it makes perfect sense. But I do wonder a lot about theories like that, like how easy is it to just say that? You know what I mean? Like, like it's always like, oh, the elephant drinks water with his trunk because he can't kneel down and drink it that way. And it's like, maybe he drinks water with his trunk because that's just the way he drinks water. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. A lot of that evolutionary stuff, I think it's nonsense because, evolution's not real.
No, of course not.
Shout out to Richard Dawkins. What's up?
Yeah.
But no, it's hard to know whether or not. I think there's a lot of stuff that we really need to understand about evolution and how it how it actually works in terms of implanting these sort of inbuilt fears and everything. I think it seems to me to be perfectly rational to be afraid of the dark because of the fact that anything could happen and you might not know it. But in terms of like being afraid to put my leg down next to the bed in case a hand,
because someone comes out and grabs it.
Yeah, like that's always been a thing because of an episode of Goosebumps that I saw. When I was a kid. Yeah, there's stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff tied into the darkness, but I think it all stems from, that kind of unknown of the darkness. Stuff like anything could be living under your bed.
Yeah.
In the closet.
Even as an adult, like spiders or whatever, like they could come at you in the dark. I guess having a fear of the dark, it would be a great booster of all your other fears, if you know what I mean. A great amplifier of all your other fears. Yeah,
definitely.
Because you are just more vulnerable and more susceptible to danger when you're in the dark. I think that's probably what it is. But I was never really bothered by the dark as much as I was bothered by the devil, who really ruined me as a kid.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So,
I can imagine.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say?
I think I've covered all the bases for my fears, which aren't particularly extensive. I wasn't. It's not that I was a fearless child. It's just that my fears were quite, simplistic.
Yeah.
I boiled down to the dark and the ocean.
Mankind's greatest.
Yeah, like I didn't have religion in my life, so the devil kind of was just kind of a non-issue for me, thankfully.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, the devil that we learned about in school is like it's not even referenced in the Bible. And devil, or Satan, I think Satan comes from the Latin word for villain, and it's just, as far as I know, Lucifer was not the only demon, not the only angel who was banished from heaven. Like, there were loads of devils, and devils are only represented in the Bible as demons and stuff, and it's a kind of a grey area for me, because while I've read massive amounts of the Bible, I still feel like I don't know anything about it, and it's very hard to actually wrap my head around, and I think it's a lot more simplistic for teachers and parents to tell you that you have to do this or God won't let you into heaven.
Yeah.
But what's even worse than fear of God is fear of the devil, because the devil does it because he enjoys it, whereas God does it because you're bad. I am much more willing to accept that evil exists than that I am the evil.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, 'cause a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the golden lamp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light, split the night and touched the sound of silence.
So that was our episode on how childhood stuff affects adulthood stuff. Hopefully we did a good job. If you guys liked it, please leave a like on whatever format you're listening to this on. I really, really appreciate the support. We're listening to James Blake's take on the sound of silence. I think any song that has the words "Hello Darkness, my old friend" has a pretty obvious footing in this episode with the shape that it took. The intro, for anyone who doesn't know, was the intro to The Outer Limits, which is a show from the 1960s that told lots of crazy stories and science fiction tales and thought experiments and things like that. It was a really cool show. So until next time, that's the end of the episode. We're going to end with the conversation from before we started recording. I've been El De Niro. Thank you so much for listening.
Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
I got a new mouse today, and it like glows all different colours, and that's really all it takes to keep me happy.
Fancy. I bought one that's just about twice the size of a normal mouse.
Yeah, mine's massive as well.
Yeah. It fits my gigantic hands.
It's such a like weird thing that just this mouse arriving made me happy.
Yeah, I know. I love just getting shit in the post. It's great.
Yeah, it's like a legit key to happiness. Just you know, buy yourself something nice. Change the wallpaper on your computer screen. You know, something new to look forward to.
It's good stuff.
It is. It is.
Have you seen The Revenant yet?
No.
I saw it the other day.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, everyone in work.
It was fantastic.
Everyone in work is saying that it was terrible. And
they don't know shit.
That's like the first thing I haven't even seen it, and to be honest, like I don't even have a desire to see it yet, even though I appreciate that it's probably amazing. I'm not there yet with it.
It's quite slow paced, and there's literally periods of about 20 minutes where there's no talking.
Yeah, that can be tough.
And that can be tough, but some of the cinematography is like the cinematography and the sound design is phenomenal.
Yeah, that director is amazing.
Yeah, and the it turns out I've been following the cinematographer on. I was sitting there watching the film. I was like, a lot of this looks really familiar. Like, I've seen a lot of these landscapes before. I'm sure of it. Turns out I've been following the cinematographer on Instagram for about a year and a half. So I've seen all of him like posting landscape photographs from like the set and stuff.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, it was really interesting.
I'm actually just back from Leicester.
Oh, nice.
I went to see Star Wars again.
I still haven't even seen it first time.
Seriously? Oh my
Nope.
god.
I know. I'm behind.
I'm gonna see it again. I've seen it 3 times now.
Fucking hell.
And I will see it again.
Yeah, I saw the Big Short last night.
Oh, what's that like?
Kind of intellectual, like, you know, I went in kind of expecting something Wolf of Wall Street-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go in expecting that. It's a lot more actual, like a biopic. It's more of a biopic than anything else, I suppose. Is the best way to describe it. But I now actually understand what happened with the housing crisis and the housing market crash and stuff. So.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah.
Movies with a cast as good as that are rarely perfect. Like.
Yeah.
You don't really.
Do you know what? That's what someone said to me last night when I tweeted that. He said, "Was the movie good? Movies with good mainstream casts often lack a lot of quality."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's...
Literally mirrored exactly what you said.
I am that guy.
Yeah. I've only got 3 subscribers. 2 of them are you. Yeah. I finally got around to watching Sicario as well the other day.
Oh, what did you think of that?
Absolutely phenomenal as well. That was excellent. The cinematography was amazing.
Yeah, it's a deadly movie. Although I think the that line about how CIA are not allowed to, without a domestic agent attached.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm happy to suspend belief for
Same.
For the case of a movie for these kind of secret government agencies, as it were, to do whatever the fuck they want.
The way they read that line out, the two of them together recited it as if it was such an obvious thing. I'm so fucking cynical. Like, I've just turned into the worst person. I was just immediately thinking, like, well, I bet that's not true. I googled it. I couldn't find any code anywhere on the internet, and that was that was the night the movie came out was when I saw it. So I mean, it's probably there now, but it wasn't at the time. Was watching Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And like, I liked it so much that I want to buy a new TV. Does that make sense? Have you ever just appreciated how well something is shot and how well the colors all blend together and stuff? Like, I started looking at 4K TVs after seeing it. I was like, I just don't, like, my monitor is great and I love it. It just doesn't do that show justice.
No.
And then I was thinking about how I want to get that, and then I want to buy Mad Max and stuff. And
yeah, nice. Yeah, what did you think of Jessica Jones? Have you finished watching it, or?
I just watched the first episode last night.
Ah, right.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah. I've watched it all. I binge watched it in about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I want to avoid doing that because I did that with Daredevil, and like I miss Daredevil.
Yeah, yeah, I know that feeling. Like, I've since we last spoke, I'm now on season 10 of It's Always Sunny.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, man, I've got fucking problems.
I did the same thing with that show. Season 10, episode 4 is fucking incredible.
I think I'm on like episode 5. What one's episode 4?
Charlie Work.
Charlie Work, yes.
So
that episode is fucking hilarious.
It's phenomenal. Like, it's one of the great... It's literally the highest rated IMDb TV episode of anything ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. It was wonderful.
Really, really good. I'm just finishing these love hearts that I got for Christmas.
Fucking hell.
Speaking of things, like childhood things that affect your adulthood, the amount of fucking sugar I ate.
Unreal amounts of sugar as a child.
And like, I can't eat that now. Like, I just had, like, it's the baby packet of love hearts. There's like 5 love hearts in it.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate it. It makes me want to gag. It's just so sweet. What the hell is that about? And I used to eat, like, exclusively that as a kid. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I could still eat that much.
I couldn't.
I just don't.
Alright, let's do this.
Let's rock and roll.